Hi guys, and welcome to Econ124 World Economic History. My name is Xinran Liu, and I will be your instructor this course. I'm very happy to welcome to this class. And since this is a summer course, we will cover a large amount of material in a relative short period. I want to use this introductory video to give you a clear picture of the course before we begin. In this video, I will explain what the course is about and the different units fit together, how your grade will be determined, what you should expect from the writing assignments and exams, and how you can succeed in this course. You don't need to memorize every detail from this video. The syllabus is available on Canvas, and you can return to whenever you want to check a policy, date, or course requirement. However, please watch the entire video at least once because it will answer many of the questions you may have during the first week. And let's look at the course description. What is the world economic history? Let me begin with a question. Why is the modern world so much richer than world of 1,000 years ago? For the most of human history, the average person lived close to a substance. Economic growth was slow, life expectancy was relatively short, and even small changes in food supply, disease, or political stability could have major consequences. Today, people in many parts of the world live with technologies, goods, and services that would have been unimaginable even a few hundred years ago. How did this transformation happen? And why did it happen earlier in some places than others? This course examines those questions through the lens of economics. We will study economic history, but this will not be a course that focuses mainly on memorizing kings, wars, or long list of dates. Historical events are important, but our main objective is to understand and the economic forces behind them. We will ask questions such as, why did early agriculture lead to larger societies, but not necessarily to higher living standards? Why did some regions become centers of trade, technology, and political power? Why did the Industrial Revolution begin in Britain? Why did the industrialization eventually produce sustained economic growth? How did changes in population, family size, education, and life expectancy affect economic development? What can history teach us about modern economic policy? And what lessons can we learn from economic crises such as the Great Recession? These questions connect the distant past to the world in which we live today. The course begins with the ancient economy, but it ends with modern economic policy and the Great Recession. The goal is to show that modern economic problems did not appear from nowhere. They are connected to a long-term change in technology, institutions, trade, population, finance, and government. And why we need to learn economic history? You may reasonably ask why economics students should study events that happened hundreds or even thousands of years ago. One reason is that economic history gives us a much larger set of experiences to study. When economists analyze the present, we often have only a limited amount of recent data. Economic history gives us additional evidence. It allows us to compare different societies, institutions, technologies, prices, and policy responses across time. History also helps us understand that economic arrangements we can see today are not inevitable. Modern markets, financial institutions, labor systems, governments, and patterns of international trade developed gradually. They were shaped by political decisions, technological innovations, geometric conditions, conflicts, and sometimes accidents. Studying history therefore helps us distinguish between economic forces that appear rapidly and features that are specific to one time or place. It encourages us to be careful when making predictions. People have often believed that a new technology would permanently eliminate work, that financial boom would never end, or that a particular economic system could remain dominant forever. History gives us examples of when these predictions were correct and when they were wrong, and why. By the end of this course, I hope you can you will not only know more about the past, I hope you will also have the stronger framework of thinking about the current economic debates. Okay, so the next part is the course objectives. There are four great goals for this course. First, you should become familiar with the major sources of economic progress. Throughout the course, we will examine the roles of technology, trade, institutions, geography, human capital, population, political organization, and access to resources. We will ask not only whether these factors matter, but also how they interact. For example, a new technology may exist, but its effect can depend on whether a society has the institutions, skills, infrastructure, and incentive needed to use it. Second, you should understand why societies do not all develop all the same rate. Some societies experience period of rapid growth, others stagnant, decline, or recover after long periods of difficulty. Economic development is not automatic, but is not always a smooth process. Third, you should understand how major economic innovations and nature events have shaped modern life. These innovations include agriculture, long-distance trade, new financial institutions, industrial machinery, public health improvements, and modern systems of economic policy. And finally, I want you to develop your writing and critical thinking skills. In this class, knowing a fact is only the beginning. You should also be able to explain why that fact matters, identify the mechanism behind the argument, compare competing explanations, and use evidence to support your conclusion. Okay, and so let's look at course. This is the course materials and all the materials that you can access from the Canvas. And every time before your midterm, final, and assignments, I will make the announcement and write your email about this. So please do not miss every deadline of it. And these are recommended textbooks. If you cannot get it for the hard copy version, it's okay. And you can try to find if we have the electronic version through the using our library, okay? Because lectures will be based off of these books, but no reading will be directly assigned from them. You will have the podcast or some articles to help you with your assignments, midterm, and finals. Okay, so maybe this part is the part that you cares a lot. Okay, let's look at the grading. Your final grade have three main components. You can look at here. The short writing assignments, midterm, and final. And there are three short writing assignments together are worth 30% of your final grade. Each short writing assignment is worth 10%. And the midterm exam is worth 30%. The final is 40%. Because the final exam has the largest weight, it is important to build a strong understanding throughout the course rather than waiting until the last week to begin reviewing. At the same time, the writing assignments give you opportunity to demonstrate your understanding without relying entirely on exams. Okay, and the short writing assignments, you will complete three short writing assignments, which I will sometimes refer to as SWAs. These assignments may be based on podcast, short readings, films, or similar materials. Each assignment will include one or more guiding questions. Please answer the guiding questions directly. A common mistake is to spend most of the assignment summarizing the entire podcast, film, or reading. A summary may be useful as background, but it should not be the main purpose of your response. Instead, identify your central answer and use specific examples from the assigned material to support it. And the length is approximately like 500 words per question. You don't need to stop at exactly 500. Going slightly over is fine when the additional material is relevant. However, longer does not automatically mean better. A focused, well-organized response is usually stronger than a long response that repeats the same point. The assignment should submit it electronically through Canvas on the due date. When I grade this assignment, I will evaluate 4 areas. You can look at here. The first one is the content and understanding, which accounts for 40% of the assignment grade. This means that your response should address the assigned question and show that you're engaged seriously with the material. And the second is clarity and organization, which accounts for 30%. Response should have a clear point and a logical structure. Each paragraph should contribute to answer. The third is critical thinking, which accounts for 20%. I want you to connect the assigned material to broader course themes and explain your own interpretation. Your own interpretation does not mean that you can ignore the evidence. It means that you should make a reasoned argument based on the material. And the final one is the mechanics, which accounts for 10%. This includes grammar, spelling, readability, and basic formatting. I'm not expecting every student to write in exactly the same style. I'm looking for clear thinking and clear communication. If you need a short extension, please email me before the deadline. I will generally prefer receive thoughtful work slightly late rather than rushed work submitted on time. However, please contact me in advance. An extension is not automatic simply because an assignment was submitted late with communication. Okay, and the midterm. The midterm will take place online during week 3. It is scheduled for August 12th from 2 to 4 p.m. The midterm is worth 30% of your final grade. The exam is open noted, but it is important to understand what open note means in this course. You may bring printed lecture notes and your own handwritten or typed notes. You may not use textbooks and AI tools during the exam. Because this is online, so of course you can use laptops, phones to scan or write your answer. And you may the exam will consist of short answer and short essay questions. I will give you a study guide before the midterm, and most of the questions from the midterm will come from the study guide. Okay, so you don't need to worry about there are difficult questions. And it will not only focus on memorizing definitions. You should prepare to explain an economic mechanism, compare different arguments, apply a concept, and use historical examples. The midterm will cover the material identified in the study guide. I will give to you and in the course announcement. The best way to prepare is to study throughout the first half of the course. After each unit, try to explain the main idea without looking at the slides. Ask yourself whether you could answer the following question. What is the main puzzle in this unit? What economic mechanism is being proposed? What evidence supports the argument? What alternative explanation could someone offer? And how does this unit context to the unit before? If you can answer these questions clear, you can probably prepare in the right way. The final exam is scheduled for August 28 from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. And the worst is 40% of the final grade. And this is online open note exam. And the requirement is basically the same with your midterm, okay? Because the final is cumulative, please try to keep your earlier notes organized. Do not throw away your material after midterm. Many of the concepts from the first half of the course will help you understand the second half. For example, the first industrial revolution is easier to understand why you remember the Marxism framework. Modern economic policy is easier to understand when you organize how industrial revolution and the demographic change transformed economies. The Great Recession is easier to understand when you remember the development of trade, politic, financial institutions, and government intervention. Because one important thing is the AI use policy. I want to explain the course policy on artificial intelligence tools such as ChatGPT and cloud. AI tools are allowed for some types of assistance. You may use them to brainstorm ideas, receive feedback on a draft you have already written, check grammar and spelling, or ask for an explanation for the concept that you find confusing. For example, you can write your own draft and ask an AI tool whether the organization is clear. You may also ask an AI tool to explain the difference between two economic concepts and then return to the course materials to verify your understanding. However, you may not ask an AI tool to generate the entire assignment or exam response and submit this response as your own writing. Changing a few words in an AI-generated task does not make it your own work. The purpose of the short writing assignment is to evaluate your understanding and help you practice communicating economic ideas. If an AI system performs the central thinking and writing for you, then the assignment no longer serves the purpose. Okay, and my office hours are Tuesday from 9 to 11 on Zoom. The Zoom link is available through the online office hour item on Canvas. You may email me to arrange an appointment at another time. Please do not think this office hour are only for students who are experiencing serious difficulties. You are welcome to attend office hours to ask about lecture, discuss a writing assignment, review an exam concept, or talk more about economic questions that interest you. You also do not need to prepare a long list of sophisticated questions. Okay. And the best way to contact me outside office hour is by email. I think this is all the things that I want to talk about. And you can take a look at the Canvas page to go over week 1 to week 5 plan. And some slides I have locked it until like 3 days before your lecture time. So please look at the syllabus first and go over the unit 1 in advance if you have time. Please feel free to let me know if you have any questions. You can let me know by email through Canvas. And that's it for today.